purpose of this video is to explore the usual method for creating three-dimensional geometry of your roof. This process is described as tracking the outline. So first of all, we start off with a new screen and construct roof, track outline. The dialog box displayed actually has a great deal of information provided for all manner of input of roof geometry, from aerial imagery, digitizing PDFs and so on. We will ignore most of those things while we explore the most usual method. You'll notice a dot has appeared on screen. The software automatically determines the start point to be at the origin of the model, that is to say 0, 0. And all dimensions are relative to that. So our starting point will be there, and if I was to go right and provide a dimension, I'm working in millimeters, so at this stage the units are millimeters. We can also work in feet and inches, and we can also work in meters. So and notice these buttons, the up, down, left, right buttons, that presets the wall direction. So if I was to go down, you'll notice it automatically goes to 180 degrees, which is down, up being 0. And the distance in this case will be 5 meters, and I can just type 5 and M and then enter, and the wall line is drawn. So I can click on R, or I can just type R for right and insert the dimension, and D for down, and L for left, D for down. And as you can see, the walls are annotated. This is line number 5, and the distance is 7250. That's in millimeters because the base units are millimeters. And up 3550. You can also select insert. I'm choosing to use enter, so insert or enter does the same thing while you're doing this. So right 1250. So I can click insert or type E for enter. So 3500. And when we get to the penultimate corner, that is to say the second last line, we want this building to close out. So I can select close and close square among many options that we will explore later. Close square automatically closes out so that the corner is at 90 degrees, and it automatically calculates the last two dimensions. And this is a critical stage of the generation of this outline. It provides a method of checking. If these two dimensions don't match the plan that we've been given, I've made a mistake somewhere around here, or the information provided is incorrect. The other option you have, oops, step back, step back, step back. The other option is, instead of typing, selecting close and close square, you can simply type C for close and enter, and that will give you the same result. Most important of all, though, this is the very first check. This is the first check that the geometry you're about to create, and from which your takeoff will be created, is actually correct. Don't ignore this, it's a very powerful tool. At this stage, if I'm satisfied that the outline is correct, I can select a finish, or just type F for finish. The Roof Defaults dialog box is then displayed. A lot of information is going into the model via this dialog box. The first option is whether you have a single slope roof, that is to say the same slope over the entire roof with no hips or valleys, or a pitched roof which has hips and valleys by definition. You then have the option for tiles, shingle, shakes, metal, a low slope material such as EPDM or bitumen. Let's do metal because we're doing a pitched roof. Story and pitch are tied to the pay scale. So if you do labour and materials, this is important for you to know. You might have a different pay rate for different stories. You can have up to 10 pay rates, and a different pay rate for different pitch. So the steeper the roof pitch becomes, the more you might charge. Pitch is set in degrees, It may also be set in slope, as in 612, 712, or as a percent. The options are set under your preferences. The eave overhang is the overhang from these lines. Now, in the instance here where the perimeter that I've inserted is in fact the eave perimeter, if I use a negative number, then the wall will be automatically offset to the inside. Now, this is helpful if the measurements that have been provided are in fact the site measurements, and the person taking the measurements has measured the eave line. Gable overhang is often different to the eave overhang, and in that instance you can provide whatever the overhang is. The eave height is used by the software in conjunction with the overhang. Eave height, eave height and eave overhang combined are used by the software to calculate how much downspout you need. The eave height also determines where roof planes intersect. If you have a multi-level roof, the height will determine where the two levels intersect. Rafter spacing is used by the software to calculate fascia brackets and gutter clips. So, and also the number of fasteners you need when inserting or installing purlins. So, as you can see, a lot goes on behind here, and it's useful to take a moment to think precisely what's going on and what dimensions or information is required. You may also specify whether the eave will be fascia and gutter, gutter only, fascia only, or nothing. In our case, we'll have fascia and gutter. We then select OK, and we get a message. A negative offset has been entered. Yes, it was indeed. And do you want to move the walls? And I will say yes. So you'll see that a line is now drawn to indicate the placement of the wall with the negative offset I provided. The next dialog box pops up and asking us to define vertical planes. A vertical plane would typically be a gable end. I may also change individual eave or gable overhangs, and I might also define barge lines. Now, barge lines is another topic altogether, and that will be dealt with in the video on barge lines. But in any case, here I select continue, and the roof model is created. Typically you would save it now, so I'll go ahead and do that. I'll give it a database, and whoops, and the database name, and then the model name. The model name is typically the street or site address, and the database name is typically your customer's name. That's how most people tend to use our software. It helps find jobs more readily. So we save that away. The job is now saved. We know it's been saved because in the header bar there it shows us the database name and the model name. Well, that's about it for generating the geometry. Stand by for the next video, which we will discuss various options for modifying the roof.